28th episode of the Grit Talk Show and our first show in 2023. Very happy New Year to everyone who's been watching all our sessions previously. I hope you've been getting value in 2022, and we hope to add more value in 2023. So for those of you who do not know, Grit Coaches is a wonderful community of coaches from around the world. And we have these meetups. We are also scheduled for a summit later this month. And we also have an app where coaches, if you're a coach, you can create your sales page and have your clients leave you review. We take care of all your admin work. And if you're a coachee, you can always search for the wonderful coaches that we have on board. So for our session, our first session of the year, we have a lovely guest join us from Beirut, Roula. Linda, she has been in academia for a long time, and she's a transformational coach, and she's chosen a topic that I think would resonate with anybody who's listening, and that's shameless talks. Rola, welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Khadija, for having me on this platform. And I'm utterly happy to be the first of this year in 2023. I would say it's a good beginning to have this beautiful talk with you, and especially with the title being involved. So thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
You're most welcome, and we're really looking forward to learn from you, because shameless talks, as the topic goes, there's so many times that we are so hesitant to speak our hearts out, where we fear being judged, and there's so many other facets to it. So how do you suggest can we be more of our authentic selves when we're talking to people?
Beautifully asked, Khadija. That's one thing that we're all facing, because everybody has been raised in a way where, you are very cautious of your environment, and it depends on who the next door neighbor is, so be careful, don't do this, don't say that, be in your best behavior when you go out, as we were children. And along the lines, of course, in the working community, you have to behave in a certain way and all of that. So eventually we refrain ourselves from talking what we actually want to say, because it's always been taboo not to really speak your mind, because we've been trained to think in a certain way. But I've learned to think that we refrain from a lot of things that eventually get to us, like on a psychological pattern. Let's say I'm not liking something in specific. I would probably hold back and not say anything. So consequently, this would actually create a lot of negative emotion in me and with the person. But if I were to come forward to you and tell you, for instance, I'm not really liking, how you're communicating with me or how you're talking with me, and there are always ways, we don't have to be blunt, because being too blunt is very hurtful. So choosing our words carefully, kindly, nicely, we can always come up with the next best thing to say, but by using the proper words. So here I would come and say, Khadija, I've been feeling sort of hurt by the way that you are talking to me. And I feel as if, you're looking at me in a certain way, in a certain perspective, and I feel, this and that. So there are feelings involved and there are thoughts involved. So shameless talks come from us not being shameful for whatever it is that we have to say. And therefore you speak your mind. And this goes with everything else as well. Let's say you just want to speak your mind about something. You're at a group, at work or not, and you want to speak your mind, but you wouldn't. Why? Because the first thing that would cross your mind would be, maybe they will judge me. Maybe they will think less of me, or maybe they will hate me, or maybe. But if you are sitting comfortably where you are, then none of this would matter, because you'd be utterly happy with whatever it is that you are, right? But this is the maybe, because we are always feeling judged. And you have this sabotage that's in you, this Mr. Judge that's telling you, no, she's not going to like you if you do this. And then you have Mr. Pleaser that's going to come in and say, you know what, if you say this, it's not going to please that person. And that person consequently is not going to like you.
Yes,
And we
yes,
all
yes,
face that.
Raula. Exactly as you said that we're afraid of being judged, and we're afraid of the reactions, that how might that person react, and if and then I think we do not know. Sometimes we sort of have this whole sequence and a story in our head. Then we'll do this when this person says that. So we really assume that people are going to respond in a certain way, or we really assume that there's going to be a negative reaction. So we need
Absolutely.
we need to come from a more neutral place. How do we neutralize ourselves, or tell ourselves that we shouldn't be assuming what we
Mhm.
are actually assuming?
Absolutely. I mean, this comes with practice, of course. I mean,
Yes.
in coaching, especially, uh, whatever when I have my clients, I also deal with that issue because they would not probably be able to be 100% open. And again, shameless talks comes from that. So I would always start with,
Yes.
this is definitely, and we all know that as coaches, this is a non-judgmental platform. That means
Mhm.
that whatever you say will be pure, will be great from my side. I will accept anything that you say. So talk to me, say whatever probes your mind. But if a client is not going to come to you and talk to you with 100% openness, it doesn't work. Because once they reach that stage where they open up 100% and they know that the person they're talking to, they trust 100% as well, then you're good to go, right? Because you would not have 1 ounce of a doubt. But it comes with practice. We
Yes.
tackle several, several aspects, in the mind of the person. You shift from thinking one way to thinking a
Mhm.
different way. I mean, for one, I was one who was always feeling judged. I mean, this doesn't come
Mm.
too far, I felt judged all the time. I felt at one point in my life I needed to please others so that I can be liked because I lacked of self-confidence. And this typically comes from lack of self-confidence, and that's that. But once you tackle self-love,
Yes.
then most of the things really break down into small pieces and they become meaningless. And that's the beauty of it.
Yes. A wonderful thought came into my mind, but I've just lost track. Rahul, when we're actually communicating with people, how, it's mindfulness, right? So mindfulness is basically coming with practice, and we do a lot of mind reads. We,
Mm.
as I said earlier, that assumptions, and you're saying it comes with practice. So, what are some of the ways that while, for instance, when you're coaching, do you tell people to, which really helps them achieve this mindset shift? What ways do you use normally?
Mm. Very
Obviously, we
interesting.
won't be going into details of that because obviously they'll have to come to you as a
Mm.
client. But just a brief overview. So people who are, a lot of times, who have, some people face this a lot because they're shy, naturally shy, and when they are shy, they tend to be more hesitant to speak their minds out. Particularly for those people, how can a mindset shift be achieved?
Well, it's a very interesting question, yet a very
Mm.
difficult one to answer, very honestly speaking, because a shy person can come from simply a shy background, or it can
Yes.
come from an introvert as well, and many
Yes.
other as well.
Mhm.
So it really depends on the person. You have bits and pieces of personalities over there. So each person
Mm.
is definitely unique on its own. And by
Mm.
tackling any individual, you really have to get to know that person. So it would be unfair to the question to answer it in a very broad way. But one of my client who is an introvert is actually, I can talk about that particular example. It took her a few sessions for her to start opening up. So with an introvert, I cannot typically come and say, okay, tell me what is it that's bothering you, you know? She doesn't function like that. For her, it's all about, what do you feel like talking about? Do you want to talk about your day at school? Do you want to talk about your friends? Whatever it is, or do you want to just, sit and just, discuss anything that pops your mind, or not do anything, or draw? So you need to take it in different ways so that that person can feel, okay, I'm not pressured, because when you pressure an introvert who is closed up and who's very shy, the person is not going to open up about things.
Yes.
So with
Yes.
that method, it helped her by session number 4 to start opening up. And consequently, she started talking about what was bothering her with her friends. And then we tackled how her mindset can be changed. But it took a lot of time, because she's both introvert and consequently a very shy person, And for another normal shy person who's not an introvert by shy, I've had 2 of those cases. So it was very interesting, because this is a beautiful method I love. And this could work with everybody, by the way. For those who are shy, that means you sort of lack of self-confidence as well, because, they go hand in hand. So I would ask them, look at yourself in a mirror. At first, you might be repulsed by what you see. It's not an easy exercise. And then consequently, you would have to give yourself 1 month for that practice. Every day, try to look at yourself in the mirror for just a few seconds, and then start counting those few seconds. Within those seconds, you look at your whole face and you start accepting what you see. And then you look at the little details, as in your eyes, your eyebrows, your nose, your lips, your cheeks, your everything, your hair. And then you start appreciating yourself. Again, this goes within self-love. And you start appreciating everything about you. And you tell yourself positive affirmations. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am courageous. I am. Anything that you think you're not, you would say, I am. And when that comes out, loud, you listen, you would hear yourself, and it would resonate eventually. And then you'd put it into reality, because it will become a practice. So it really depends. There's so many techniques out there.
Yes. So just as you said, it's usually a lack of self-love and a lack of self-esteem. A lot of times, Roula, people who do lack self-esteem, uh, they think that, what I say does not matter. So they refrain from speaking. Yes. So what I say does not matter. How do we motivate them that what they say, it does matter? Because, I think it's the lowest level of self-confidence, where you're at a place that, you think that you're so insignificant that anything you say is not going to matter. And that's not a nice place to be. So as a coach, what do you feel? Some key things, like maybe 2 3 things that can be changed within them, that's confidence building one, I'm assuming. What a couple of other things would you say can build them up, so they do believe that what they say does have weight?
First of all, I'd ask them, who says it doesn't matter? Where does it come from? It always comes from somewhere. It could come from a parent, it could come from a sibling, it could come from an aunt, from even a teacher at school. So the first thing I would ask, where does this come from? Who says it doesn't matter? And then from that, I would be able to shift into, does it matter to you? How does it matter to you? Tell me what would matter to you. So you would probe deeper into how it would matter to that person. So shifting from the who told you or made you feel so, into you, because you are the unique person. You are important. Everything else does not matter. So from this to that, yes, it does. Because even as you, or everybody who's out there and listening to this podcast, for everyone, it matters what you think. And other people does not. And this is where the saboteurs come in. They come and they tell you, the judge or the other other saboteurs who's telling you that you can't do it. So you have the judge, you have the one who condescends you, and so on and so forth. So when that happens, you tell yourself, it matters to me. It's important to me. I value it. So if the voice of somebody else who's initially telling you it doesn't matter, how is that person affecting you positively? It's not. It's affecting you negatively. And from there on, you're not able to move forward. So if it matters so much to you, then just make it happen. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And this is the most essential, a crucial thing. And that's the only way
Yes.
to move forward.
Yes, beautiful. So I love the fact that you've set the foundation of everything as self-love. And if we actually truly love ourselves, then can we actually achieve the changes that we want to achieve in our lives? Whatever we want to do, we can actually pursue our goals and um, reach them if we love ourselves.
Absolutely.
So that is absolutely beautiful. So since we keep these talks really short and try to make them as interesting as possible, and it was really interesting. So Raula, on an ending note, when it comes to self-love, uh, how can we develop that kind of self-love? Do we pamper ourselves or do something that we love doing? What things can we do that can help us like ourselves more? Because all the time there are the external environment and people around us sometimes do a great job of
Mm,
unintentionally putting us down. So if we don't build ourselves, then who will? So from that perspective, how do we start building our own selves, or let's call it self coaching in a way, and
yeah.
develop that kind of self love within?
Incredibly beautiful question again. First, definitely, we need to pamper ourselves. You can do anything that you like to do, even if you have refrained from doing so. Let's say if you wanted to go and buy yourself something, or food, or anything, clothes, shoes, whatever it is that you like, do it. Don't think twice if you can do it. And another thing is to talk. Just talk. I think this is very, very important for men and women. And I would like to emphasize specifically for men, because women are more vocal. For men, please be vocal, because they tend to be depressed without knowing. And this is why we are hearing a lot of sad stories. They can be as vocal as us women. They are not going to be any less if they were to be vocal, if they were to talk. And there's so many platforms out there who are available and who can talk to them. Even us women, especially women, we will not look at men in a negative way at all if they were to come forward, talk about whatever it is that you, again, shameless talk. They can speak their mind, they can talk about anything that they want, because without knowing it, the power of talking would result in the power of being, and therefore it would shift their mind as well. So pampering is one thing, and talking is the main thing. So talk, communicate, let yourself be out there, let yourself be heard. It's so important.
Yes. So express yourself, and don't shy away from expressing yourself and whatever you feel. And I hope those of you who are watching, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And I would encourage everybody to start 2023 on a note of being as expressive as Rola said, as possible, because that is where your peace of mind lies. If you keep holding everything within, then you're not letting everybody know the wonderful things you have to offer, and we all have something to offer.
Absolutely.
There is something unique in all of us, and people can benefit. So if you have just one, in one way that you can benefit other people, express yourself, say it out loud, don't be shy, don't be ashamed. And thank you so much, Raula, for being here. And I wanted to just go on and on because you've touched a really important topic, and I think since you have this background of academia, and I'm sure you use this in your profession as well, coaching. So I think we need to hold a completely different session for that and discuss more on that.
Absolutely. I
So
would love that.
yes, so it was a pleasure having you, and have a lovely first week of 2023. Those of you who are watching, same to you. And as I said, please feel free to leave a question and we'll get back to you. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Khadija, for having me today. Thank you very much. And I wish everybody a beautiful year.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.